Welcome, welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. We talked a little bit about our aspiring to be ourselves, anchored in ventral energy, and that will get you to be the person you want to see in the world. And we'll continue a little bit with being a mystic who is yourself, anchored in ventral energy, and that's how you'll help humanity. 5D mystic, self-help, spiritual growth, personal development growth, mindfulness growth, okay? And we are woo-woo pseudoscience. So for those of us who are of our 5D collective, because of having a whole self, we have integration of the brain. So we don't have any of our child parts come up. And this is the number one thing I wanted to come and start off with. When I see 4D, 3D, what I have realized, whether they're mystics, spiritual, or practitioners, mindful, not mindful, therapy, whatever it is, they don't know how to stay anchored in their ventral energy. They are not healed yet. And in fact, typically at one point, shape, or form or another, when they're talking to me, or I'm learning from them, or they're interrupting, excuse me, you're confusing science, spirituality, they bring to me their unbridled self-expression, their right and wrong reasoning, and their breadcrumb trails, which I can follow easily because I'm an academic at heart, mind, and all. Intelligence knows how to hear because that's what mindfully listening grown-ups do, even without being grown-ups. It's called my prefrontal cortex. That's intelligence, and I'm not trying to be right or wrong because I don't need to prove anything. My cherishable beliefs are falsifiable because that's what grounded in reality means. So when I see Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole, I just know that that's a 3-year-old. I'm not going to waste my time. Let me hear what you got to say. That way I can go on and get more good information from the empowered, mystics, spiritual, mindful living, loving sciences, all of it. So I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality together. So yes, when somebody has unhealed teenage ruling, I notice it. Their child's version of what a grown-up coulda, shoulda, woulda done completely gets all the way to the end. And that's where I don't tell them anything because, this is the other thing about Cusco. It's gonna always be a liar. And that's because they lack the self-awareness to notice, wow, did I just do this thing where I talked over somebody else and I made up all my conclusions and all this black and white thinking, and I'm so limited and so limited consciousness doesn't notice itself unless it wants to. That's a person. Okay, so yes, anyone who is telling me that they're healing someone, I will notice that they're a liar the minute that they're treating every single one of the people that are of their community in a way that, well, I'm going to just again allow myself to pause and let you hear our lovely Sadhguru as he talks, and then I'm going to continue sharing some more data points. But he has a very beautiful quote. It was about not only being a leader, but also one who is stuck in the realm of right and wrong, liking and disliking, will never know the texture of love. And that's definitely so, because half-brained people don't know their compassionate state. Like that Zen master, they do know how their powerful emotions, yes, they feel like irrefutable facts. Kristen Lindquist. Thank you. That's effective realism. So when I meet that, I'm not concerned because I know what they're doing. And also I'm not concerned because some people don't want to move into their ventral energy in the first place. They think dying is easier than living without realizing that that means that they're okay with their body being in a shut down dorsal vagal response. And then for sciences, 97% of what is going on is unavailable for them to observe. So they only make their best estimates, but that doesn't mean that we're going to deny everything that was found from yesterday's news. People who are smart don't do that. People who are not in a place of being useful to us, I suppose. I don't know. Let me leave that one alone because it's better. But my point is, people who are aware is because they have the capacity to sit in maximal uncertainty, which means that you can deal with literally whatever certainty and uncertainty meant in your life. Okay, so as a mindfulness practitioner and somebody who puts mindfulness and mindsight practices, all of it, I learn new words from Dr. Daniel Siegel, and more than just that, what I can tell you is that in that state of awareness, as an empowered feminine, not only as a mystic but also as a person, I have my own masculine. My mind is my empowered masculine. My left mode, I call it the masculine. The right mode, I call it the feminine. My empowered feminine is because I can regulate Maria in her ventral energy consistently. And I've been doing this for a while. So you will know, if you're a mystic with your clairs, who is a part of your oversoul. So you help humanity when you are able to be the optimized version of what a human's capacity is. The flow state, neuroscientists will tell you it's not supernatural. You don't do it by yourself. There's a process, integration, and it takes time. So you need a higher self, number one, no exiles, protectors, and none of that physiological reactivity, which means those first 3 years of life, your implicit memory is something you will have tended to and healed. And you have a window welcome to emotions and affects. So I don't hear it's easier to be dead and with the stars than to be alive. As long as my ears hear that, how dare you trauma dump, all that stuff. I have an adaptive child in the room who is the teenage version, and I've met teenagers. They do spite their parents. I don't, although sometimes mine will say, you're spiting me. I say, nope, my 3-year-old though is making a point. Because as a teenager, I did not in any way, shape, or form look to teenagers and say, let me copy you. No, I easily learned their spiteful mannerisms were all insecurity, which is why I said, no, I won't. I chose God, I chose Jesus and Holy Spirit. Here's what integrity looks like. Death do part, sickness and in health, richer and poorer means monoamory or polyamory, don't matter. You cheat on me, we talk, we clear it up. And that's where polyamory, we don't cheat. It's called consensual non-monogamy. And people who don't understand that, they don't know how it works to truly love, number one, not because you have to be polyamory, to truly talk. Okay, so again, when you're not using your grown-up version, you don't know your prefrontal, you're using a Cusco version. And when I hear the Cusco, I don't do anything because it's not personal. As Stephen Porges points out, it's biological rudeness. As God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit point out, Maria, be nice to your brothers and sisters. They don't know any better. And as, again, Stephen Porges points out, yes, they're in their red or yellow. Bezel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Pat Ogden. So when I have people's trauma time, Patrick Tian, I don't do anything because in awareness, they don't know how to handle maximum uncertainty. In fact, they don't know how to handle their personality patterns. They are rigid and are chaotic, which is where I don't need to talk to them at all. And if they are actively still convinced that they're right and others are wrong, which is none of my business because I don't care. Here's why it's a losing strategy. Thank you, Terry Real. In couples, people who actually baby each other though, because see, if you're a grown-up, you don't tell me how to live, I don't tell you how to live, and we don't have a tone that is actively playing the know-it-all of any of it. Otherwise, what kind of relationship is this? And that's because we're integrating a little bit of this and that. Again, some storytelling, and also, again, some of that, which is how do you help humanity if you're not your optimized version? If you are moving towards restorative embodiment, which is what attachment trauma educators will let you know, and you don't know that that's happening. No, people who love to use words that are trending use words. Then they don't notice their actual bodies not becoming more at ease. Okay, so aliveness is really easy. Being alive is easy for those of us who are mindfulness practitioners for real, and that don't have a narrative of this life, this very existence, it's suffering. What life is you embodied brain that began, and so sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings, they all participate. And if you can contain them, thank you, Peter Levine, and you can also process them because you can witness them with the mind sight. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So sifting sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. You have integration when left and right are friends, and your default mode network is downregulated, and your child parts are all asleep, and your self is whole. And so you own the core narrative, relation, and soul self. And now we have, I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized person. I didn't get earned. Secure attachment. I'm securely attached. It's not boring. Mystics who are securely attached don't tell other mystics, I'm intuitive. I know what you're talking about. I'm intuitive. I know everything. I'm intuitive. And when you are having just random interactions and people keep wanting to make it all one, this is like teenagers who didn't know how to stand on their own 2 feet and just leave it alone, because again, though, thoughts and feelings of your own, it's called a differentiated self. I was that at 3 years of age, and I have a twin, so I also was able to consistently bring forth that which is Maria. And so with that, every word, everything that comes from our mouths, of course it revolves around me, but I will have the capacity to be compassionate as a function of child, adult, mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving person. And in my eustress, because I'm self-regulating, continue all the conversations as possible. And so humanity one receives in the globe my lovely ventral vagal state and my ventral energy. Therefore, I'm sending a frequency of ease. Furthermore, I am navigating the 5D frequency. Ascension energies are that. And in fact, whenever emotions come up, sad, angry, afraid, disgusted, surprised, happy, I'm able to allow them all to come from my prefrontal. Our contribution to the world, thank you, Sadhguru, is you, how you live, how joyful you are. Everything has an impact. It is not enough to ask people about a positive experience. It's about savoring that experience and getting them to stay with it. Bill Hanalon, LMFT. And again, moving back to Sadhguru, every word you utter, every action you take, your very existence, is it for everyone's well-being or is it just about you? And when you meet adaptive child part people, it is just about them because they don't have the knowingness of what a true leader is. No, they in fact will think that a true leader has to tell you yes, no, black, white, I know everything. That's little soldiers. Good boy, good girl, did you do good job? Yay! Which is a little person in my book that I just say, Kali, stand down. Shiva, come in. Krishna, Leela, check. We're in our ventral vagal state. God told me to stop judging human suffering, and I definitely have nothing to say to those who are dragging their feet around with a pain point. And those who are 5D collective, they just like to make it sound like any time that ascension energies are coming about, oh man, if you're suffering, you're resisting is a quote I heard. Yes, if you're suffering, you're not integrating. And it's not about resisting universe, meaning, yes, we have the lovely Akash source, Anima Mundi, again, God, so as a mystic, a spiritual self-help, personal development, and just a person who's experiencing the Enlightenment Soul Age group. And every year the ascension energies are continuing to come in. It's been since 2007. What I can tell you is I've expanded consciously. And so my consistency to bring forth more of what I began IHP with is you be yourself. Now I just know that the people who won't are our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters who have a pause self. They don't like change, and that's because they don't know how to be flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable. Because in awareness, they don't know how to sit in silence. Their left mode, their masculine, is consistently talking over somebody else. And so they're not intelligence. No, they think they are because they're playing omnipresent, which they're not. They're in fact not even God. Is God, source, universe, Akash, Anima Mundi, source, intelligence. It has no words. The soul and spirit, every time you hear a mystic talking about it, they will tell you it's pure love. Pure love doesn't mean that it gives you pats on the back. And pure love doesn't get angry in a way that will make you afraid. Because if it's intelligence, again, it's not going to want to destroy you. How are you going to learn to put into practice life? That's another one. But again, if I wanted to pause and say, let's do science for a minute. We got dark matter, dark energy. Hopefully that asteroid don't hit us. So healing, people who have human secondary consciousness, that's every human being on the face of this planet, as long as they don't know how to accept that you deal with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, and unwanteds always from your heart. And if it's an open heart, it means you'll be in a physiological state of compassion and you'll be able to rationally and with realistically and with depth say, I have emotions that are coming up and I have thoughts. And to be able and have the depth of your window welcome. The people who don't have a window welcome, that's why for them death is easier to see themselves out of body. It's a sad thing to hear. Don't get me started on that. And they are not healed. They, in fact, sell their own what I would want and their story. So they come to you with a pseudo-live body, with a body that only knows roller coasters on and off. In fact, their dark sides and neuroplasticity are that they have, I'm a light, I'm a shadow, I'm a this, I'm a that. And they'll get in a screen and be like, here's who I am. And that, in the meantime, is called something you can get worked on. But they won't think of it as projection. Look, that bitch, she looked at me. They will think, but that's Maria, that's being human. No, I mean, I did vent a little bit. Yes, I admit. Did you change? No, I said, I'm stopping to vent because I don't like the biochemistry. It's really not in tune with what I promised Jesus and God. So I'm not walking linearly with what I want to be. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. And so when I asked for support, well, why? You're human. Of course you have to vent. No, I don't have to vent. I can choose not to. Okay, so hope is definitely something that we have. But when you move beyond hope, because you have faith and not because you have a fate, You have a destiny, but you also can have a faith. Yes. God knows when the day will come. I don't, and I don't want it to be today. Okay, so with faith and our own destiny, frequency, we persevere as ordinary human beings who know about death and rebirth. And that's because, one, we meditate. And so with that, you are able to consistently be a leader for yourself, which does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. Thank you, Sadhguru. First, it's about you being able to allow yourself to not stay stuck in a realm of right and wrong, so half a brain, the left mode, but to notice the emotions that came with the thoughts, because that's very straightforward. Then to not say, I have to do it. You don't have to do shit. But it is in the moment of the emotional stuff coming up that you have expand your window welcome. Make it, it's a rubber band. Okay, so when people explain smart things to people who want to help people and humanity for real, and they tell you integration of the brain is what is the optimized version of every person, and that's where the body of every person is going, the kingdom of God is within you. It's a straightforward mathematical equation. I didn't go about my business trying to prove it, FYI. The difference is, so when people say, but you're the same as anybody else, the difference is, I'll admit that I'm the same as everybody else, because that's actively what a smart human being will know. The difference is, I'm not trying to give you something that works because I know everything. No, I know what I do know and what I don't know. And so from a subjective experience, what I do know is, as a 5D body type is what I call my body, I didn't have any losing Maria to ego and spiritual bypassing and saying to somebody, I am an intuitive, so I know what you're thinking. Do you now? Or when someone's like, you think ill things because of me and Claire's and dreams and things that you will share with people who you think trust you and who, because their faith in humanity has been broken, actively have things to say. But again, envy, jealousy, spite. I met teenagers as a teenager. That's why I don't perceive. Mean girls don't mean anything to me. I got to college and I met more of idiots. And then I got to grow up. And by the time you meet idiots in college, you just think, wow, if they're getting PhDs and they're fucking and miserable. Today, I'm a grown up with attachment trauma. I'm like, wow, maladaptive patterns in college. They could have went to therapy. Patrick Tiahan went at 19 years of age. Why weren't they there? They were 24, 25, 26, and now I'm 45. I don't look at people who say, I know everything as, wow. I'm like, okay, sure you do. You know what? I'm going to leave it alone. No, I don't do any of it. That's, again, a person who is an empowered feminine don't want to waste no time with those who need babying. No, they don't need babying. They need a therapist. In the meantime, their stuff is fear-mongering for sure. And they will say, it's my passion. I'm fighting. And I'll think nothing of that. No, I will. I'll understand that biologically rude people, again, they need a mission. Otherwise, they don't know anything because they're not busy finding the depths of their secondary human consciousness and saying, okay, I have personality. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. It is a filter through which my temperament deals with my one nervous system body being here on Earth. And so with that being said, when you do be a mystic who is yourself anchored in ventral energy, I help humanity by saying you can do it too. You don't have to do it though. That's number one. Because when I hear somebody giving you a story again and again on every time the ascension energies come about, that you are going to have heavy energies come up, that's not the case. Because you're objectifying your actual human story. And with that, ignorance is definitely what leads people to not be able to move beyond suffering, but so is their story, and not the, okay, like the Zen master, he has laundry. He's decided that he was going to make a whole video about how there's no way that you can be enlightened and all the way through. And his video was for snake oil people, which there's plenty of. To me, he's one of them. Because he has laundry. He doesn't know how to use his prefrontal cortex. His discourse makes no sense. And it also implies that people cannot physically be enlightened. Instead, I have a neuroscientist who's informing me of how easy. No, it's human makeup. So the ones who don't want to understand how it takes you to choose, it takes a village, but it takes you to choose wanting to empower that which is your humanity, number one. And so mysticism isn't a special gift, if you will. Some of us come with spirit, with the soul, with the relationship to source, Akash, God. the fact that we have more intuitives and more of those who are of our spiritual group, that's awesome. That's who I definitely am here for, besides those who are also mindfully aware and are good with having, the woo-woo pseudoscience lady, meaning those who do personal development and self-help. But ascension energies consistently are in this love frequency, which again, let's remember, science has ways that they can talk to us about it. In awareness, you become aware of who you really are, and it's not personality patterns, thank you Dr. Daniel Siegel, but you do work with it. If you don't know how to be flexible with your own thoughts and feelings, you aren't anywhere near helping humanity. You are here going to get into your little righteous butthole. You're going to do whatever everybody else does. So we will see a bunch of different groups like flat earthers. It's not good or bad. I know who they are though. They're definitely not making the most of what they could. And while the somatic therapists I learned from said that everybody is leading themselves to return home, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I actually know what Gabor Mate says is more correct than these somatic therapists. You have a bad gut. If you have a bad gut, it's because you don't have secure attachment. And if you don't have secure attachment, you're not resisting universe. You don't own your child parts. And your teenager is completely in this, roller coaster of teenager attitude, which I saw when I was a teenager, and I still see it now with the adolescence of now. And I'm just, again, my heart's like, and I leave it alone. I don't want to be that teenager like I was and say, I know. No, I just give those tidbits, and when they don't believe, no, they say, I don't want one emotion. Yuck, what are you talking to me for? Really? Okay, you know what? Go for the distress, or make it sound, if they make it sound appealing enough, then people, I did it all by myself. See, look how strong I am. Look. Oh, pretty Elsa, how beautiful you are. So tapping into your whole humanity, it is about you having your energetic, mental, emotional, physical plane and expression, your heart, mind, body, yourself, it's whole. So the soul is that one frequency, and you don't actually think of anything that's from torture chamber stuff as something wow, because you would actively know that not only did our ancestors torture themselves, but that actual physical suffering due to devastation of all of it. But no, Mother Earth isn't going to eat us alive, because again, anybody who's thinking of wanting to destroy our own species, you are human, you're mortal. If you actually understand mindfully, you will want in your grounded human being body to do everything you can in 24 hours to make a difference. You don't think, I want to stay still and be dead. The ones who can't make it, no, they can. But if they're that tired, then Pat Ogden, Patrick Taham, Terry Real, a bunch of good therapists are out there. Bethany Brand, Ruth Lanius. So when people talk to me about being tired of living, I don't say anything, because that would be disrespectful of me to say anything, as my therapists have taught me. But don't come talk to me about wanting to help humanity of your mystical powers. You've completely disregarded waking up every day with the same weighed down body, and you're just using your mouth. And I don't do well with lazy people. And in my case, it's laziness towards yourself. It's not even anything else, but you want me to not be able to be happy because you can't stand my ventral energy? Yes, now I have big grown-up words. When I'm a kid, I'm like, I don't give two shits. You're out. Let me not point as bad manners. Maybe, no, maybe means you're not gonna, I don't even know. I'm not gonna waste my time with you. That's why God keeps talking to me. And that's why when things took place in a certain way for me, I know exactly who Maria is. If I can dish it, I can take it. That's what objective also means. When you have strengths and weaknesses, what's my strength? I'll be in your face. I don't know how to be polite all the time. I didn't choose to go into politics on purpose, because I noticed that they don't know it either. You asked me where I come from. Wow. How are you going to negotiate with that? Today I know what adaptive child people do. They like to pat each other on the back. I don't pat anyone on the back. You don't pick the weak ones. Technically we're all weak. I'm not really sure why you're playing this game. No, again, I have God. I need to keep reminding you all, I don't have the science. I have God telling me, those are brothers and sisters, be humble. And humble doesn't mean bowing down in shame. It means humility. You're crooked, Maria, and flawed, so are they. make sure you remember that. Here. No, it's not anything here. No, just here. Stay open, calm down. Here we go. And there's your eustress. And it's actually all back into being a grown-up. Let's not make a big deal out of anything. It's not a big deal. It's not no emotions. It's actively knowing how to use your brain wisely. The prefrontal cortex doesn't make up stories. It recognizes, wow, they have anger. Certainty of anger does what? Russell Coates? It has people doing the superficial bullshit stuff. And they're in what? Patrick Jahan? Their childhood trauma brain. So what am I living? Pat Ogden? Trauma time. And this is why the please appeasers can't stand us. And I can't stand them either. Because sooner or later, the please appeasers come out of nowhere with their actual opinion. The shame submissive, we say, hey, get back up. The cry collapse, we say, hey, get back up. The please appeasers again. It seems like we're actively harmonizing, and this is just one of the random examples, and it's not just mystics. Anybody, my facade friend included. So people who don't know how to speak their truth, their teenage versions of themselves, but they'll easily go behind your back and talk shit, and then they don't notice. No, they don't take, this is why I really... All I'm going to say is we all have emotions. The difference is some of us know how to have integrity and say, yeah, this is what I stand for. You don't have to like it. I didn't ask you. Subcortical areas, they motivate us. I'm motivated by physical safety and then self-agency. Bonding is a straight shot. That's why I know my weakness. I don't know how to be polite. And when someone's like, Maria, that's a little harsh. I'm sorry. Again, I don't have people manners. I didn't learn to be a people pleaser, and I didn't do the collapse submit, and I don't do the attached cry, and I don't do any of this because I'm the bossy one out of my twin and I dynamics. I'm just saying I can thank her. She taught me how to be able to, no, my mother taught me how to be able to manage this, but I have no, Maria, stand down. Maria, let them handle you. I've just seen handle who, excuse me? Alpha what? You don't know what an alpha male is because you didn't hear the actual correct way an alpha male is supposed to be. And like the correct way an alpha woman would be, and it's not handle, who, again. So when I hear princesses and princes, I see the power couples out there. They're doing a great job. Sure they are, but in the meantime, infinite higher human consciousness potential. Right here, you can do it too. It's called humility, but it's with integrity, and it's with self-acceptance, and it's with a functional inner child adult tone that knows that our tone, authentic people will be here, and the ones who will cringe and they will talk behind our backs, again, we don't have room. No, they can be here too. But we're not going to be doing anything about the lower frequency because cowards are always a coward. They don't take care to go and get themselves healed. They like to talk shit. They even like to dismantle people because they are like the individuals who were teenagers who, again, spiting is a low frequency because it's a poor 3-year-old with a 16-year-old, and there's an addiction to this roller coaster bullshit of movies that I used to watch and I eventually didn't watch anymore. And so by me presenting to you my story, I share with you those who are anchored in their ventral energy are using prefrontal. They'll say, here's my ego self, all my opinions, Here's what soul, spirit, source is. It's pure love. That's it. Discerning, quantumous love, intelligence. Thank you, God. Again, no need for monsters because every one of our brothers and sisters has one of two options. What was it determined? Oh, he says no free will. I'm going to say they still have an option. Follow the law. Okay, that's being done. Kindness with integrity. Unkindness with assholishness where you think you have integrity, but I'm going to notice you don't have any of it because how dare you say, you're trauma dumping on me. I'm a healer. Are you now? Wow, really? So mystics, it's fun to meet the 5D ones because we're empowered. When we meet the 4D ones and 3D ones, we think, wow, they have some fabulous stories for us to make fun of. I do, and I'm a content creator again, podcast host, and I'm using new stories so that we can heal trauma. We are healed. Bring forth your humanity, my humanity. And the mystic community knows all about the lovely sphere of Akash, intelligence, consciousness being looked into by sciences. Yes. So it's going to get more and more fun as the years move forward because, empirical mysticism, science, spirituality come together. Nobody's fighting anybody. And there's no need for us to worry about ending anything because dark matter, dark energy, and that asteroid hopefully won't hit us. As for God, he tells me I'm physically safe. So I'm pretty sure the earth is, pretty sure the earth is safe because, I'm going to die old. And there you go. Okay, I had a little bit of fun and a little bit of story. You got to know me better. But as we conclude, let me just remind you, why do we help humanity? By being a mystic that is yourself anchored in ventral energy, in case this was not made clear. You have secure attachment, non-traumatized, embodied brain. Being ordinary, securely attached, you know how to do eustress. You practice mindfulness every day with mind-sight skills because you can sift through sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, making it, breaking down, and then what? Inner growth mindset. You know how to do, hey thoughts, hey emotions, hey Maria, what is up? Nothing much. A day in unknown, uncertainty, unexpected world with my open heart, with my flow state. And there you go. And so we don't have superheroes, supervillains. As for divine counterparts, yes, empowered counterparts, they don't be like, it's going to be a certainty. Although I will have to say, we have some stories for those things. I want to organize it to support the ones who are in our 5D collective. But the 4D has a lot of stories. As I was working and walking through ascension energies and my own stuff, I didn't get destabilized. But I definitely was frustrated as I noticed the disrespect that there was out there with the masculines and the stories, and then just the disrespect and the objectification of the oversoul and the stories. And this is all explainable because every human being, me included, will want at least one securely attached figure because the bear will eat us alive. Here's what, Maria's lucky because in my implicit memory, I'm not alone. I have a twin, so there's no need for me to have a securely attached figure because I got one already. I'm just saying, this is my explanation. And then my mother, who allowed her to be the mediator. So I know compersion and I'm not afraid of losing anyone. So there's no fear of that and there's no bear around me. There you go. So the part that I'm trying to make you understand is that when someone feels all by myself, it's a real feeling, aloneness. And that's where if you get Terrio, Patrick Tiahan, you learn how to be a grown-up version of all your child parts. Again, you learn how to navigate your ventral energy and then you'll continue. It's A-okay, sad, mad, afraid, and you'll be okay. I'm creating resiliency in my restored embodiment. It means I have emotions. You'll have expanded a window welcome. And then you'll understand the practice. And you won't need a story for yourself because in your human secondary consciousness, you say, I have today. And then maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I'll wake up tomorrow. Being able to sit in the complete darkness, this is why I'm an empowered feminine, this is why I have faith, this is why I tell you about God though, because again, I grew up with God. I can't pretend that I am only of science. I'm not. I can only imagine if I were only of science. I mean, that would be pretty mathematical. I can be rational at this point and bring to science and spirituality, but I still come with faith. And that is to me a superpower, not because it's 100% true. No, I can't make people believe in God. And again, I'm grounded in reality. As the Sam Harris quote goes, any of your cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. Only an idiot thinks they can prove that which is invisible. Only an idiot will disregard quantitative data versus qualitative and then know what quantitative data means with the 97% of what is out there being unavailable for science to look into. Anybody who wants to bring me a story, I'm going to not do anything of what I'm doing right now because I'm going to think, no, I know that. I went to school. I know what data is. Don't bring me your story. No, you bring me your story. So I'm having a good time right now. It's why people are like, why aren't you listening? No, I am listening. I'm just not patting you on the back with my brain because you're presenting to me a story. You didn't give me any data. I know when I'm hearing data because I know how it'll be presented to me. So quantitative data, data analysis, somebody who's informing me, it'll be clear. Somebody who's storytelling me, hey, Peter Pan, Lost Boys, what's up? Who's your Wendy today? You got a good time going on? Awesome. That's how it works in my brain because you ain't an academic. You ain't a researcher. You ain't bringing me data. You're bringing me Freud and whoever it is you think is the only correct way. And I got a child who just translated shit to me. And they're cut off from Purusha Prakriti. Yes, that's where the enamored with oneself, the focused on oneself, and let me not get started with when you meet people who represent the frequency of one specific emotion. That was amazing. These were not mystics, but this happened in 2 different occasions where I'm hearing their voice. I'm like, oh my God, it's the embodiment of it completely. I'm not saying the words on purpose because I was just like, wow, this is so magical, and they're teaching so many good things, and this is awesome because their entire group, so that's where they're not going to help all of humanity, but they still will help humanity. like me. I won't help all of humanity. No, I'm only going to be helping the humanity that wants to be their self. And that's mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. So it means you want to be you. Use your human name. I'm not kidding right now because I already know. I know what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for you to be yourself. And that's in the most amazing of way. No envy, no jealousy, no spite. Just fun, like the inner child that I am. Look, it revolves around me, Mom. It all revolves around me. Anybody who doesn't know they have a 3-year-old in the forefront, really, I'm just going to say it again. So God, it's a frequency. That's why. Heart and mind of God. When I heard about the prophet and what the prophet definition is, and then I'm hearing about the guru and the definition, I'm like, they sound similar. Did you know that there's 100 different versions of Cinderella out there in the world without even them knowing about each other, the ones who wrote it? So the stream of consciousness, consciousness in itself, I'm just saying nothing's changed except for it has. We're now in the year 2025, and thanks to internet, we all get to come together. So I know which voices are going to go with who, and I know which other voices are going to go with who, and there you go. So the love frequency consistently navigates with the walk like an Egyptian fear frequency. And with that being said, again, thanks for stopping by. Be yourself, mindfully, with flaws, with imperfections, with integrity, and let's remember that our brothers and sisters of fear have a beautiful journey of their own, and if they want to heal, they can. And that's a Terry Rio, Patrick Tan for those people, Pat Ogden, Bessel Vanderkolk. We will not make anybody be in their restorative embodiment and be self-aware, accountable, or regulate, but we will know that we can hope that they all get to therapy at some point, shape, or form, and that we get to meet their actual self and all of their inner child self with the functional adult. Again, have a great day.